And the 2031 Stanley Cup champions are the New Jersey Devils. They went past Carolina, Pittsburgh, Montreal, and Arizona. And so begins the year 2 offseason with your Calgary Flames. I've already gone ahead and re-signed a few players, Simon Fried, Parker Bell, just a couple of depth players, but the one that surprised me was Vasily Ponomarev. I wasn't expecting to re-sign him. However, with how well he did for us this past season, with 31 points in 40 games played, as seen down here, he's going to be making 5.14 for the next 3 years. So hopefully he continues to be the offensive presence that he was last year in his half season with us. Everybody else on here is getting released. They're either asking for too much or they just don't simulate well in general. Stromgren only had 27 points this year, 23 last year, and I think he's asking for like nearly 5 mil. That's too much for a player of his caliber. And then Andrew Crystal, I believe, is asking for 4.6. I mean, that's a little much. He was asking for 5.2 before, so he came down on his price actually. So I might still consider him because he did have 38 points last year and a 65 grade. So he's actually not that bad of a simulator, but Stromgren definitely not. I'm not re-signing him for that price. And then Jordan Martin, I think he was asking for like 2 mil. Yeah, 2 mil. Even though he only played 33 games last year, I'm not paying the 2 mil to sit on the bench. If I could get Crystal for like far less than what he's asking for, then maybe. But I don't think so. I don't know if we're going to be able to meet in the middle here. We're quite far off. The most I'm doing is 4 mil. Yeah, we're a ways apart. I don't think it's happening for Andrew Crystal here. He had a long injury last year, so I'm sure if he was fully healthy, he might have been able to hit 35 points again, maybe even 40, although not the pace that he was playing at for the first 20 games. So I don't feel like it's going to be a worthwhile investment. So I think we are going to be parting ways with Crystal as well. And now it's June 23rd, so we're going to sign a couple of our draft picks. I think Jason Sheets could probably make his way over to the NHL now. His defensive ratings are pretty good now. I don't know how much more developed those are from when we drafted him, but they do look a little bit better. Offensive ratings, I don't think he's going to be scoring too much, honestly, just because that getting open is only at 12, but otherwise he looks like he could handle himself. Physical ratings are fine. Mental ratings are a bit low still, but I think that'll come with age. So I will sign Jason Sheets to an entry-level deal. And Jeremy Debout, currently a 2.5 star ability, 3-star potential. Wasn't half bad last year, 908 save percentage in 48 games with the Fredericton Red Wings. According to our depth chart, he is our best goaltender right now, so we may as well. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll get the opportunity as the starting goaltender and just outshine Gage Alexander somehow. But if he doesn't, then that's fine too. We could just send him back to juniors or wherever he wants to go. Because if Gage Alexander can keep up the way he's been playing lately, then we're fine in goal. And that'll be it for unsigned players for right now. So I think with that, we are all set to move ahead to July 1st. Oh, actually, no, we have the awards first, then July 1st. And award ceremony time for the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Maurice Richard. Who else but Connor McDavid? I believe that is the second year in a row for all 3 awards. Possibly even, 3 years in a row, or who knows how many years in a row at this point. Lady Bing goes to Nico Hischier, now on the San Jose Sharks. Bill Masterton goes to Brayden Point. Mark Messier Leadership Award goes to Andrei Svechnikov. And the Jennings goes to Sebastian Kosa of Detroit. And the heart between Cooley, McDavid, and Bedard, I wonder who it is. Connor McDavid with 122 points. Playoff MVP, the Conn Smythe, goes to Jack Hughes of the New Jersey Devils with 36 points in 25 games played. And the Calder between Graham Breitenbach, Ryerson Leenders, and Alex Pegamagabo is on there with against 2 goaltenders. Who's it going to be? Alex Pegamagabo. Way to go. So Doug Elfring didn't get it last year, but we did get Alex Pegamagabo the Calder Trophy. Very nicely done. And the Norris Trophy between Makar, Theodore, and Heiskanen goes to Miro Heiskanen, 68 points on Dallas. For the Selke between Stenberg, Elfring, and Berard. So Doug Elfring up for the Selke for Best Defensive Forward at 22 years of age. Who's it going to be? Berard. That's unfortunate. But hey, he was a finalist. He was a Selke Trophy finalist at 22 years of age. That's pretty impressive. For the Vezina Trophy between Kolosov, Kosa, and Breitenbach, it goes to Kosa of Detroit. And the GM of the Year between Briere, Guerin, and Johnson, it's going to be Bill Guerin of Minnesota. And I'm guessing the Coach of the Year is going to be Scuderi as well, because that's usually how it works. with the best GM and best coach being from the same team more often than not is what I notice. But for the strikeouts between Scuderi, Greer, and Larson, yep, Scuderi. And here's our season summary. We had a total season score of 7. No positive categories, 2 negative categories. That's that's a fail. We got 1 available point to spend. I may as well put it into, I guess, tactics. And we are now on July 1st, so we're going to check our roster, see what we need. We have Alexander and Debu in net, and we have Robble as a third stringer. On defense, you have Muse, Bernier, Byram, Mukhamandulin, Emery, Sheets, and Corbet. I believe that is indeed 7 defensemen, so we're good there. And then at forward you have, I believe that is 13. So in terms of numbers, we're all good. We got a full roster. But what is out there in free agency? You have Masse, who's a 5-star ability, 25 years of age winger. Wow. It's great. There's also Brady Baird, who literally just won the Frank J. Selke. I don't know why his team would have let him go. Maybe he was just asking for too much. How much does he want? Only $6 million for a player like that? I mean, I wouldn't mind getting him, but the thing is, are we really at that point? Especially considering this past season, you know? I mean, Masse would be great. He's got 76 points last season. Only 25 years of age. I'm presuming he's a UFA since he's on this list, but 11.3 for 3 years. I mean, that's that's a hefty contract. Is he really worth 11.3? I mean, just given his 5-star talent, probably, but here's the thing. Last year he had 76 points, which is really nice, but every year before that, only around 50 points. So I'm almost wondering if that's going to be like an outlier, you know? I mean, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if he continued at a 75 to 80 point rate with how his ratings are, but at the same time, he's more consistent with the 50 point rate, right? So I don't know if that justifies 11.3. He would certainly help. I'm not denying that. And we definitely do have the cap space for it. We have 62 million salary right now. We can sign basically anybody, but as good as he looks, I think I'm gonna pass on Masse because how much he's asking for, and with only having 1 really good year so far, I don't know if that justifies it. I'm not saying he won't have that kind of season again, but I don't know if that's the way to go for this team. Doug Elfring's asking for 7.6 for a 5-year extension. I may as well just give it to him now because I know I'm gonna want to re-sign him anyway. Can I by chance give you 8? I just want to see. I just want to see what happens if I offer him 8. I'll give him 8 by 8. What does he say to that? All right, it looks like he's gonna stick with 5 years here. I'll try to give him a little bit more, see if I can lock him up for 8 years, but I don't want to push it too much with Elfring. I don't want to make him mad. See, yeah, it looks like he's set on 5 years here. I'll try one more time. I'll go 8.5 for 8 years. It is pushing it a little bit, but I think he's worth it. Yeah, he's set on 5 years. Okay. So 8 years is not happening, unfortunately. 5 years, 7.5. Ask for a response. There you go. Unfortunately, that does take him to 27. So that's prime UFA age, unfortunately. But the good news about Elfring is that apparently his special ability is homebody. He doesn't like to change teams. He'll always be very easy for his current team to resign. Okay, I'm not sure if that qualifies as a special ability, but okay, just be super loyal, I guess, is a special ability nowadays. Ooh, Shane Wright's in free agency. 27 years of age, 4-star ability. How much is he asking for? Because he might be worth it, because how many points did he have last year? He had 65 points in 50 games. What's he asking for? 7.4 and a no movement clause for 6 years. That's a good deal. Honestly, that's a pretty good deal. Have him on that first line with Elfring and possibly Coronado or Pegamagabo or Brisson even. That would make a filthy top 6 if we could get Shane Wright. He's not bad defensively either. Like, his positioning's 15, checking's 15. Hitting's the only thing that's low there that I'm concerned about with him, but even still, like, Masse is only at 12 hitting, so he's not even that much better in that department. Mental ratings are great. Physical ratings are pretty good. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Shane Wright, and if he could score at this rate again, then that would definitely be worth it. Because at least with Wright, this isn't the first time that he's been point per game, right? He had the season before as well, where he's essentially point per game, 80 points in 82 games. So even though he's a couple of years older than Masse, he's asking for far less money, and I think it might be more bang for your buck here. He had a 71 grade last year as well. I'm going to keep looking, but Shane Wright is definitely on my radar right now. Yeah, no one else is standing out to me right now. Shane Wright is, I think I'm going to offer him. I mean, the no movement clause is a little bit off-putting, but at the very least, for the first 4 years of this contract minimum, he'll be worth it. But even then, he'll only be 33 when this contract expires, so I think even in the later stages of this contract, he'll still be an effective player. He won't get to the point. I can't imagine he'll get to the point within this contract where he'll be impossible to trade if we have to. I mean, obviously he's got the no movement clause, but what I'm saying is it shouldn't be impossible to move him if we just move him to a team that's on his no trade list, right? But that's if we have to move him. I'm not expecting to move him, honestly, because I think this is going to be a really good deal. I'll give him 7.7 for 6 years with the no movement clause. Ask for response, submit offer. All right, let's see what happens. We got him making 7.7 for 6 years. Elfring making 7.5 for 5 years. Between those two alone, you already got 15 million locked up for next year. So we definitely have to be careful about what we're spending now if we manage to get Shane Wright. So I think with that, I am done spending until we know the situation with Wright. So let's advance a little. There you go, Doug Elfring signs an extension with your Calgary Flames, and looks like we're the front runner for Shane Wright right now. I mean, it's only been 1 day, but good to see it hasn't changed. All right, we're at the draft lottery now. We're still the top offer for Shane Wright. That's a good sign. So here we go. We have the 7th best odds at the first overall pick. And what will be the draft order? Picking at number 16 will be Chicago. 15, Winnipeg. 14, Vancouver. 13, San Jose. 12, Seattle. 11, Washington. 10, Tampa. 9, Nashville. 8, Philly. 7, Calgary. Okay. Still not a bad pick. Would like to move up, but I'll take what I can get. At number 6, you have the Islanders. No movement yet. At number 5, you have Florida. 4, you have the Rangers. So Buffalo moves up. LA at 3. And Boston wins the draft lottery. All right, time for the drafts. There's some pretty good players here. Obviously, nothing spectacular, but with how the mock draft works in this game, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these players here at the top was still available at our picks. So here we go. Pick number 1, Tony Pugh to the Boston Bruins. And next pick, Cedric Gossard to Buffalo. Brian Levarik to the LA Kings. Omar Harfield to the Rangers. You have Peter Delnitsky to the Panthers. And at number 6, you have Jakob Seri to the Islanders. And we have our pick here at number 7. There are only 3 star potentials left, so it seems everyone at the top did go where they were supposed to. You have Skylar Grieve. Not looking too great right off the bat. Mock draft has him at 3, really? 54 points last year in 67 games played. I'm going to keep looking. Alexei Antolovsky looks better than the other guy for sure. Yeah, much better than Grieve right off the bat. Projected picked at 13. 44 points in the KHL in 68 games played. And then you have Drolitz, Raphael Drolitz, projected to be picked at 16. He had 79 points last year in 52 games with the St. Jerome Panthers. In terms of NHL readiness, Antolovsky is definitely the best. They all have the same potential. They're all 3-star potential. I think I've already ruled out Grieve. He's just not very good in comparison to not only Antolovsky, but I think Drolet might be better as well. So between these two, who do I want? One's a center, one's a winger. Antolovsky's definitely better right now. Drolet has the better shot, better fighter. Mental ratings are pretty similar, besides team player being at 11 for Antolovsky and only 8 for Drolet. 20 temperament for Antolovsky as well. Physical, yeah, Antolovsky basically beats him out in all categories as of right now. Yeah, it's not even really close as far as current ability goes. Antolovsky just all around better at the moment. We got plenty of centers right now. And honestly, I don't know the future of someone like Harrington because he's been very underwhelming so far. If we can manage to get Shane Wright as well, that'll be another center that joins the center depth that we have. So is a center really the way to go? I mean, in this case, I suppose so, because he's just all around better than Drolet. I'm not sure if you could turn him into a winger. He's got 12 for left wing and right wing ratings. He's also taller than Drolet, 6'3" to 5'11". Yeah, I think I'll go Antolovsky here. Welcome to the Calgary Flames, Alexei Antolovsky. We're now at pick 20, and there are only 2.5-star players left. Oh man. Yeah, these late game drafts really need to be padded with a little bit more talent, because they are just everything I've seen so far out of the draft in the later years. Once it gets to all the generated players, like, it's mostly just not great, especially all down here. Like, look at all this. So between Schmidt and Igumenov, who am I taking? Both right wingers. Igumenov's definitely better as far as offensive ratings go. He looks slightly better defensively, though there's not much difference between them defensively. Physically, he looks better as well. Mentally, I don't like that 5 temperaments, but it looks like all around Igumenov is definitely better. I think he's got to be the pick. Welcome to Calgary, Oleg Igumenov. And a few picks later, Schmidt is still there. My next pick that I would have taken, Will Arbogast, just got taken by Minnesota. So that's unfortunate. I'm really not sure what to do with this 24th pick, because it's really not looking pretty as far as future NHL talent in general. I mean, there's Karsten Schmidt, who could get up to 2.5 star potentially, but that is really about it. As I'm taking a quick scroll through the player list here, really not much jumping out at me. And we're still in the first round, by the way. Yeah, this draft is really not great. For 1.5 star player, Ron Hinton looks interesting, but his physical ratings are kind of low. Mental ratings also kind of low. I'm not sure how far just his offensive ratings are going to take him, especially being only a 1.5 star potential. He is with Western Michigan, though, so you get another Western Michigan Broncos player on here. Man, there is nothing in this draft. If anything, I'd go for Schmidt just because he's the best potential. And if he hits that potential, it looks like he could be a decent player, but I don't know, man. Like, I feel like I get more out of a trade, honestly. Ooh, Max Heiss on Buffalo, who is apparently a rebuilder right now, according to their current outlook. He's on the trade block at 25 years of age. 2-year deal, $3.3 million. Got some really nice ratings there. Could be a solid player for us in the bottom 6. Let's see, they're looking for wingers, so I'd be willing to give them Simon Fried. He's only 23, but we're getting Heiss in return, who would probably fill his role, right? Yeah, so we'll give him Fried. Yeah, I mean, I think this deal as it is pretty good. I know it's essentially, we're giving up a first for a guy who's going to be in our bottom 6. But first of all, the first round, the draft in general this year just seems to be very, very bad outside the top 5. And you have a really, really solid player who could play in the bottom 6 for years to come, whereas Simon Fried, not nearly as good. So yeah, I'm going to go through with this. I literally have no other use for this first round pick. So finalized trade, there you go. So Max Heiss, welcome to Calgary, and hopefully he fits in the bottom 6 nicely. At the very least, he'll be better than like Parker Bell or Adam Walker, right? So let's get back to the draft and pick until human. And we are now at pick 39. Should I just trade all my draft picks? There's literally nothing here. I guess I'll just take Ron Hinton. I was looking at him before. His offensive ratings are good. Defensive ratings are okay. Not a fan of his physical or mental ratings, but maybe he'll be some good depth. And besides, he's a good Western Michigan boy there, so I think we'll be taking Ron Hinton with this pick. Welcome to Calgary. And we're now at pick 103 in the 4th round. So what we're going to do, we're just going to have the CPU finish the draft. And are we going to sign any of our prospects? I think we're going to leave Meehan with his current team and everyone else as well. Yeah, I don't think there's any unsigns who I want to sign right now. But once we know what's happening with Shane Wright, I think we can move on with the rest of the offseason and get into the preseason, because I think that would honestly fill out our roster pretty nicely. Come on, Shane Wright. There it is. Shane Wright has agreed to play with the Calgary Flames on a 6-year, $7.7 million deal. So now I'm going to send Walker down to the AHL. And this is what our lines currently look like. That is a lot of good depth. So I want to see a competitive Calgary Flames team this year. As bad as last year was, I think with the amount of talent that we have, the amount of depth, this should be a pretty good team. If it's not, we might just have to fully commit to a rebuild, unfortunately. Like that, I hate to do that with how long this team has been just not good, with the exception of 2 years ago. But if a team that's this deep can't perform, then I think you got to tear it down, all right? I mean, especially when the drafts have been this abysmal. However, with the amount of talent that we have, I don't think we should be shooting for that. we should definitely be contenders this year. Or at the very least, we should be in the mix for a wild card spot. I can't see this team dropping like it did last year. There's no way, right? Like, we have several 4-star players. We have a 5-star player in Elfring, several 3-star players. We have a lot of depth. I think it's really going to depend on the performance of Debu and Alexander, and then whether or not guys like Pegamagabo and Elfring can step up and have a real breakout season, you know? Because Pegamagabo was great last season with 57 points as a rookie year. Elfring, I do want to see a little bit more offensively out of. I know he's a defense first forward, but with those kinds of ratings, like, I want to see him do better. Anyway, I think that is about it for the offseason. Let's move into the preseason of year number 3. And into the Hockey Hall of Fame are Alex Ovechkin, Evgeny Malkin, Carey Price, and Steve Larmer. All right, so the preseason of year number 3 has come to a close, and we only lost 1 game against Columbus. Every other game was a win. So looking forward to seeing if that can translate into the regular season. I'm going to take a brief look at the stats, although the main thing I'm interested in is the goalie stats. So Debu with a .910 save percentage in 4 games played, and Alexander with an .884. Interesting. So definitely got to keep an eye on the goaltending this year. That's going to be, I think, the game changer. Scoring wise, looks like we did all right. Stankoven, Coronado, Elfring, all point per game. Brisson, Bernier, Muse all had 5 points. Good defensive grades from Bernier, Muse, Stankoven, Byram, Corbet, Elfring as usual. So with that, let's get right into the regular season of year number 3. All right, after the first month, we are 4-3-2. Not a bad start compared to last year, especially. So currently leading the league in points is Brendan Brisson with 13. Then Henry Muse not far behind him with 11 in 9 games played. So we definitely seem to be scoring at the very least. Yep, we currently have 5 players who are point per game at the moment. Brisson, Muse, Coronado, Elfring, and Emery. And look at the goalie stats. You have Alexander in 7 games played with a .915, and Debu in 2 games played with a .933. That is what I like to see. Hopefully they both keep that going. Goals for per game, we're currently sitting 5th in the league with a 3.67. Goals against per game, we're sitting 13th in the league with a 3. Overall, not bad. Faceoffs, we are 13th with a 50.9. Power play, we are 11th with a 20%. And penalty kill, we are 16th with an 83.3. Overall, not bad. So now let's go through November and see if we can keep that going. All right, we're on December 1st. We are 12-7-2. Overall, not bad. We're sitting in 3rd in our division. However, that is a very, very delicate situation, as behind us, Seattle with 25 points, Anaheim with 24, San Jose with 23, and then you even have LA in striking distance at 20. So this is a very competitive Pacific division, and if we slip up at any time, that might be the end of our playoff run. So we need to make sure that we keep our pace here, because if we don't, teams like Seattle and Anaheim could sneak right up on us and just push us out of the playoffs. Seems Alexander's been taking basically all the games lately, as Debu still only had 2 games played, still with that .933 save percentage, as Alexander with a .925 save percentage in 70 games played so far. Very nice. And skaters, you have 26 points for Brisson, 21 for Elfring. That is what I like to see out of him. Coronado with 21, Muse with 19, Stankoven with 12, Hides with 11, Pegamagabo only with 9, really, right, only with 9. Same for Emery and Mukmadulin, Martin and Byron with 8, Panamerev and Bernier with 7, 5 for Spitznagel, Bell and Harrington, 4 for Michaud and Corbet, Villanueva with 3, Sheets with 1. But the important thing about this team is that everybody, almost everybody anyway, has a solid defensive grade. Very happy with that. And a few of them are in the 80s, which for me, as someone who usually builds offensively based teams, this is actually pretty incredible. So Pegamagabo especially is. I thought he would be an offensive player just based off his ratings, but it seems like he's more of a defensive type of player. At least he is this year. He's got that 85 defensive grade. And it looks like Elfring's more well-rounded this year. And before we end things off, let's take a look at the team stats. Goals for per game, we are 7th in the league with a 3.38. And the goals against per game, we are 5th with a 2.67. That is what I like to see. Faceoffs, we are 11th with a 51.4. Power play, we are 9th with a 21.3. Penalty kill, we are 15th with an 82.9. So overall, I'm liking what I'm seeing, but it's still like I said before, a very delicate situation. So we need to make sure we keep this up. Anyway, I think that'll be it for this one. And the next one, we will hopefully finish up the regular season of year number 3 with your Calgary Flames. See you guys then.